All right, Akim. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Kwai. I'm back in here. Another quick and as well as always an edifying lesson. And for today's lesson, I just have on the screen here, it says, the gold has truly become dim. And, I kindly borrowed these words from the book of Lamentations because, I was just watching one of the lessons from the elder brother, Manata Zakba, and reacting to this whole Diddy situation. And, this all could be, all distraction to cover up some, hidden agenda that Esau doesn't want us to know about. The scriptures talk about how we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. But nevertheless, I thought I would just make this lesson because, there's always something to learn from all these different situations that come out, in regards to the wickedness of our people, right? And as a matter of fact, let me grab this precept here. Okay, this is Luke chapter 8, verse 17, and Yahushua said, "For there is nothing secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be made known and come abroad." Now, I'm bringing this out to shed some light on this whole situation with Diddy. So, for those who don't know, this situation, he was arrested, and essentially they have the authorities. They're going through his mansion or his houses or whatever is going on, and they're finding a lot of strange items, that this guy was getting into, like the lots of baby oil, lots of sexual toys, lots of like tapes and all this kind of stuff, right? So just a lot of shamefulness, right? And I'm using Diddy as a character, and this can be applied to these celebrity men in our nation, because all these things are shameful, kind of just using him as like an archetype, so to speak. And this is the example that that is perpetuated in society as success. It is seen as something of value. He is seen as somebody of renown, so to speak, in this world, right? As a matter of fact, I think this also, hold on, let's bear with me on this. Luke 16 and verse 15, and it says, "And he said unto them, Ye that are which justify yourselves before men, but the Most High knoweth your hearts. For that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of the Most High, Yahweh." Right? So this guy, Diddy, he's an example of an abomination, right? And he's not somebody who has character, has values, has morals. And what comes with having morals, values, principles, and so on and so forth, fruits of the Spirit, like we read about in Galatians chapter 5. What comes with that is, first off, a fear of the Lord. So I'm just hitting some, basic precepts here because, when a lot of our people look up to a guy like Diddy, they see, he is it. He is the guy. He is the pinnacle of success, right? He is the pinnacle of manliness, so to speak, right? And now all this shameful spewing is upon him, right? Yeah, his foreskin is being uncovered, right? Where was I going? Just bear with me on this. Okay, I'll just start off with the precept because this is where I got the title from. This is Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1, and it says, "How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The precious stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street." Verse 2, "The precious sons of Zion, comparable, to fine gold. How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hands of a potter," right? So just going from a glorious state to a state of shamefulness, a state of filthiness, a state of, just being in a low state as a whole. And this is what Diddy represents. He's a kind of character. He doesn't have morals. He's transgressing against the Lord. He's an abomination. To be frank, right? And this is how a lot of our people look up to this. I think this is the kind of person that is a so-called leader, right? And he's just an image of filth in this society. Well, not in this society. He's an image of filth in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, but in the eyes of the men of people in this society, especially our people. They look at him and they think he's highly esteemed, right? So what I want to do is grab a couple precepts. Oh, that's where I wanted to go, because I mentioned fear. Okay, this is Sirach chapter 1, verse 18, and it says, "The fear of the Lord, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, is a crown of wisdom. Making peace, and perfect health to flourish, both which are the gifts of the Most High, and it enlargeth their rejoicing that love him. Wisdom raineth down skill and knowledge and understanding, and exalteth him to honor, to hold her fast." Right? The root of wisdom is in the fear of the Lord, and branches thereof are long life. Right? Oh, I'll read verse 21. This is juicy. It says, "The fear of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, driveth away sins, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath." Right? So this is the cornerstone of what brings us conduct as Israelite men, who have, that we have this understanding. It creates a certain level of conduct that we, there are things that we do and there are things that we don't do. We don't treat each other, how to deal with our own people, how we deal with our family, how to deal with our women, how to deal with our children, and there's just a lot of slew of charges that are coming out against this man because, essentially what he's doing is walking in the ways of Esau, right? And his works, his craftiness, his behaviors, right? And the scriptures say that we shouldn't learn the ways of the heathen, right? Because we have our own customs and statutes to live by, right? So going back to the title of the lesson, this is how, as a people, with our men especially, have become dim, have become without understanding, because the scriptures talk about how wisdom maketh a man's face to shine, right? And Diddy is an example of somebody who is dim, void of light, dry bones, filthiness, right? Let's get... Okay, I'll read Deuteronomy actually. And I'll read down. This is Deuteronomy 7, verse 1. And it says, "When the Lord Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, when the Lord thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them." Right? So we're not supposed to take on the customs of these different ites, all these different Hamitic nations, right? And what Diddy's doing is taking on a lot of those practices of those ancient African nations, right? And those are the ways that corrupt us. It corrupts our minds, just like his mind is corrupted to get involved in these things. Of course, you have the people above him that are controlling him, but nevertheless, this is his mind essentially is corrupted. That's why when you read in the New Testament, Paul, when he writes to Corinthians, he says, he have espoused you to one husband, that you may be chaste, right? And the Lord wants our minds as Israelite men to be pure, right? Not corrupt with all these different philosophies and all the ways of the world. Let me keep on reading. It says, verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto thy sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So here's the point. It says, for they will turn away thy son from following me, and they may serve other gods. So it will anger the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai, be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly, right? So that's the point. Us being involved in these different ways of the heathen, being involved in, being around them, and so on and so forth. Jake has taken on their customs. Like I think in the book, when you go through, I believe it's Judges chapter 1 and chapter 2, one of the things a lot of the tribes did, they didn't get rid of them, they didn't get rid of those different ites and those different ites that I'm reading about. And what they did was eventually they started to make them tribute instead of getting rid of them, right? And then eventually what happened, when you read it later on in the next chapters, they began to take on those ways of the heathen, right? Jeremiah says, learn not the way of the heathen, right? So this is why the Lord wants us to be chaste and pure, right? But, Diddy is an example of, someone who is corrupted. Verse 6, and it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people above himself, above all the people on the face of the earth. Right? So, we're supposed to be a separate people. We're not supposed to be doing these particular things, because these things are supposed to be essentially, all these different practices are abominable, and the Lord doesn't want us to be corrupted with these different ways, right? His ways are supposed to be in us, right? We rehearse the righteous acts in this captivity, but nevertheless, the Lord doesn't want us to mingle with these other ways of the heathen, right? So let me get Psalms. Okay, this is Psalms chapter 62, verse 10, and it says, trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. And I'm reading this specifically because, amongst our people, Diddy is probably one of the richest, if we're being honest, in America. But he's the type of person, that's so filled up with pride, and you think that, man, you're untouchable. And the scriptures talk about pride. How pride is essentially, to roughly paraphrase, is when we depart from our maker, and you think he's untouchable, and you think nobody can stop him. But he's the type of individual, because he's so filled up with pride, the Lord had to, knock him down. Right? And not to say that he's the only guilty one. There's lots of them that are in his circle, lots of these other celebrities that are in and guilty just as much as he is, right? For now, he's just the one that's being exposed, right? But, one of the things I also wanted to touch on was the fact that, when Jake gets a little bit of money, they essentially, they set their hearts upon, making a lot more money, right? And essentially their mind starts to go away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? And that's another thing I was meditating on recently, was the fact that when we make money, as a people, we start to think that, when the going is good, we always think it's us. We think it's ourselves, rather than actually giving the credit to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's one thing, right? And then when we're going through suffering, then we're questioning why the Lord is doing this. Like you see the mentality that our people have, right? The scriptures say that don't let as a matter of fact, let me get it. Okay, this is Jeremiah 9 verse 23, and it says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Lord Yahweh." Right? So the Lord delights when we boast. If we're boasting in the Lord, that's fine. But if we're boasting in how much money we have, and how much videos we did, and and how much cars we had, how many women we slept with, that's all vain. That's all vanity. Right? And when Jake gets a lot of these things, they boast in these things. And I got like the parable with the what's that? The parable with the Pharisee and the publican. As a matter of fact, let me read that a little bit, and then I guess I'll close it off. It says, Luke 18 verse 10, "And Yahushua said, 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and one a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, O Yahweh, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as his publican. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, would not even lift up as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, Yahweh, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to this house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted." Right? So you see the difference between the two characters here. One is essentially exalting himself, and the other one is boasting in how much and what the things that he can do, right? And the Lord is not delighting in somebody who's boasting in all these different things, right? And that's the mentality a lot of our people have today. They boast in a lot of the things that they own. Like, you have guys like Diddy, amongst other of our own people that do the same thing. The mentality doesn't change, right? I pray, X amount of times a week, I give this much tithes, I do this much videos, and this, that, and the third, right? But, the mentality is, our people lack a reverence for the Lord and don't understand the Lord as well. So, kind of went off topic there a little bit, but I sincerely pray that, this lesson was edifying, right? Because I just wanted to bring out and shed some light, in regards to this situation, because guys like, Diddy, as time passes by, more of these guys are going to be found out about the type of characters they were. Like we already knew, through our apostles and elders on down, right? But, as time passes, as the months go by, you will see the wickedness in our people and that shame being brought to light, right? You will see a lot more, and this house. You see how filthy this place is, right? And it's gonna get a lot worse before it even starts to get better. That's why this kingdom is slated for fire, right? Hot, scorching fire, right? because when we hear these conversations, all these conversations are vexing. Like, our people supposed to be our men, especially our men are supposed to be the pinnacle of not just understanding but wisdom, and you're supposed to be looked at glorious. When these other nations look at you, we're supposed to be the pinnacle of wisdom, right? These other nations are supposed to come to us, for wisdom and learn of the ways of the Lord, right? Not the other way around. But this is, something that we have to bear for our time, see the wickedness of our people and see the, how vexing it is. But, I sincerely pray, that this lesson was edifying. I'd just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Until next time, I say Shalom.